This is Blue Oak Bridge, which has had some buzz around it lately. You need to try I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. I heard there's a new cooking game on the scene, so I'm gonna test it out. This is a solitaire innkeeping game called The Broken Cask.
What the hell?
I'm sorry.
A cozy town management game, but you're an adorable alien.
Are these games even real?
Have you heard of A Little to the Left? It Takes Two, one of the most unique co-op games ever. I will do it. I'm gonna talk about Hook-a-Lack. Then you will love My Dog.
What was that?
2 Point Campus just had an update for October. Pokemon Go right now, and I Just Dance 2023. Mario plus Rabbids, Sparks of Hope, Power Wash Simulator. This is Guardian Tales and is Genshin Impact.
Oh my god.
A game where you're a little frog gathering supplies for a tea party.
Okay, honest question, have we lost our minds? Is gaming really full of sellouts? Do I cry every time I hear The Heart Once What It Once by Selena Gomez? Wow. Right. Recently, I came across a post on Reddit from an individual who worked for an indie game studio. In the post, this person said they emailed a large YouTuber with a code for their indie game. This is very common practice in the content creator space. A studio wants to get the word out about their game, so they email codes to creators in hopes that they'll showcase the game on their channel. And in this case, the YouTuber, who apparently had over 1 million subscribers, replied by saying, "Sure, I'll showcase your game, but for the small fee of $22,000. Yeah, that's insane. The comments of that Reddit post were filled with game devs and marketers recalling similar situations that had happened to them. And according to one YouTuber, this kind of thing happens more often than we might think.
What do you think of that Reddit thread where a developer says a YouTuber asked them for $22,000 to make a video about their game? Is this widespread or a one-off? It is widespread. That I can tell you for a fact.
The truth is, many of the largest and most popular gaming content creators on YouTube and TikTok are fully in the pockets of game companies. And this is a huge problem. Not because they're in very close proximity to Andrew Wilson's cojones, but because it's always to our detriment as players and viewers and consumers. It's important for me to clarify that when I criticize game companies and the influencers that work with them, it is always in defense of us. I'm not trying to attack anyone here, even the shills. Okay? And I personally am really inspired by creators like Kiki Chanel and Hannah Alonso, who discuss influencers in the beauty and lifestyle niche who engage in some very shady behavior.
It is alarming how these influencers are only an email away from completely selling out. That should scare you.
But for some reason, no one really talks about how bad it is in the gaming space. We have content creators posting sponsored reviews of games.
Today, I'm going to share my thoughts on Propagation Paradise Hotel. I want to thank one of them for sponsoring this video.
You better be joking. We have creators getting paid to promote games that they swear up and down are worth it, yet when their loyal viewers go out and buy those games on their recommendation, they realize the games actually suck, bro.
Thank you to Mind's Eye for sponsoring this video. It's available right now on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and on PC.
Then we have influencers who are members of creator programs who are marketing games to you on behalf of multi-billion-dollar companies.
If you're an EA creator, they already know they got you.
At the beginning of this video, I showed you a compilation of videos from a gaming creator on TikTok and the insane amount of paid promotion that they've done. And there's plenty of influencers just like this who are constantly getting sponsored by every game under the sun.
As it goes with any cozy demo that is sponsored, it is something that I only accepted because I tried it and loved it.
But the question no one's asking is, how in the hell do you have time to play all these games, and how are all of them your favorites? Or at least so good that you are recommending them wholeheartedly to your audience. As viewers, at some point, we have to wonder, do you really like these games that you're talking about, or are you just saying that because they're paying you? In a previous video, I discussed the crazy amount of paid promo that one single game got here on YouTube.
And Little Sim World is sponsoring this video today. Thank you, Little Sim World.
This video is sponsored by Little Sim World.
For sponsoring this video.
To sponsor this video. For sponsoring today's video.
They are kindly sponsoring this video.
For sponsoring today's video.
The studio behind this so-called indie game paid several content creators to make entire videos, not a 60-second ad, entire videos promoting this game. And it's not just the cute and cozy games. The paid promo epidemic has infested every single genre of video games. It's like that scene in The Walking Dead where they realize they're all infected. Popular YouTuber Mr. Matty Plays has entire videos where he's sponsored by games like Splitgate 2,
Splitgate 2, shout out to them for sponsoring today's video,
and Dragonkin the Banished.
What I wanted to tell you all about today is Dragonkin the Banished. It's a $20 early access action RPG. So this video is sponsored.
What nerd came up with that title? And best believe this one hurt. Recently, the Rad Brad, a huge YouTuber with 13 million subscribers who I used to watch all the time in college, I was a huge Rad Brad stan, okay? Our boy fell into the paid promo trap. He was sponsored by one of the worst games of the year.
Think you mind's eye they're actually sponsoring this video?
If you don't know the drama behind this game, the Steam reviews tell you all you need to know.
And I don't think I've ever played a game that simultaneously looks so expensive whilst also feeling so cheap.
As a matter of fact, the 3 games I just talked about all have mixed or negative reviews on Steam. For the past few weeks, my YouTube feed has been filled with videos about how awful Mind's Eye is, yet here is one of YouTube's biggest gaming creators acting like the game is completely fine.
So, overall, I liked it. It was a nice little story-driven game. Haven't actually played one of these in forever, so if you want more of this game, let me know.
I was sick. Utterly sick.
These are just a few examples of hundreds.
Now, Ubisoft very generously flew me and my editor Jacob out to Ubisoft Forward.
Video game commentary channel Luke Stevens has been wined and dined by multi-billion-dollar corporations like Take-Two and Ubisoft, who pay him to promote upcoming AAA games.
Full transparency, 2K flew me out to their studio. And so when Ubisoft reached out and offered to sponsor this video to give me the chance to play the game for a further 4 hours, I was like, okay.
He seems like a nice guy. Again, I don't want you guys to think I'm attacking any of these people, but there's a reason that every time this guy gets sponsored, there's dozens of comments calling him a sellout and a shill. The reason for that is when you go to a YouTuber for their honest opinion about a video game, and then you discover that they're getting paid by that game, it kinda destroys the trust that you placed in them. There's probably a handful of people watching this right now who are thinking, so what? I don't see the problem. Or just because they're sponsored doesn't mean they're dishonest. So I want to give you guys some insight into how sponsorships work. I'm a very small YouTube channel, but I've worked with several brands. I don't do video game sponsorships. I'm not a hypocrite. Okay, but I have been sponsored by other companies. And just to clarify, when I talk about getting sponsored, I don't mean when a creator gets a free game code. I'm talking about an actual exchange of money. 9 times out of 10, when you do a sponsorship, the sponsor has to approve your video before it's published.
Well, what would happen is they would give me early access to the game, I'd play it for a bit, I'd cut together a video, and then I'd send it to them, and they would actually tell me whether or not they approved it.
Actually, a few months ago, I worked with the brand, and in the video, I wanted to say something along the lines of, this product may not be for everyone. Kind of a neutral statement, right? Well, the brand reviewed the video and got back to me and asked me to change what I said to something more positive. This happens all the time. The contracts we sign when we do sponsorships state that we cannot disparage the product or paint it in a negative light. So in your sponsored video, if you say something too negative or critical about the game, the sponsor is going to ask you to remove it. Otherwise, you're not getting your coins, Mario. Sorry.
There will usually be some sort of stipulations where you can't say bad things, you can't say glitches, you can't really show the stuff that might be considered negative. They basically want to treat your channel like a commercial spot.
But this is where things get shady. Luke Stevens, a creator I mentioned earlier, made a sponsored video essentially singing the praises of Star Wars Outlaws. Do you guys remember that game?
Star Wars Outlaws had a ton of potential and left me probably the most excited for any Ubisoft project that's currently going on. It seems like the team at Massive Entertainment have been working their butts off, and they might just have struck gold with this one.
But when the game actually came out and people started playing it and they saw that it wasn't so great, he released another video where he harshly criticized the game.
To put it simply, there are plenty of problems that I can point out. Among these problems are characters that frankly don't belong in the plot, terrible lip sync straight out of the PS4 era, some of the most inconsistent AI in NPCs and enemies in a game that I've played in a good long while.
Luke, what happened? I thought you said you liked it. Well, what had happened was the first video was sponsored and the other wasn't. So if you truly believe that these content creators are getting sponsored and still giving you their 100% fully real, honest opinions, baby, you got a big storm coming. Just think about this, okay? Why on earth would a company pay someone to say something negative about their game? They're not giving you money to badmouth their game, bro. They're paying you to promote it in the best possible light. So frankly, I don't give a damn if Gamer Joe says, this video is sponsored, but I'm always honest with you guys.
You know my rule of thumb. Hey, can I just make the standard Mr. Matty experience? Can I talk about the pros and cons, the things I like, I dislike? Can I do that? If so, sure. Why not? And they agreed to that, so here we are today talking about Splitgate 2. Shout out to them for sponsoring today's video.
Forgive my bluntness, Gamer Joe, but you're full of shit.
Yeah, I got you. I got you on camera.
When you're getting sponsored, complete honesty is not possible, and these creators need to stop pretending that it is. Now sure, there might be rare cases like with a small indie game where they say, we're open to any kinds of feedback, so the creator gives a sugar-coated critique here and there, but the criticisms are still subdued. They're presented in a positivity sandwich, and the proof is in the pudding. I have never seen a content creator who was sponsored say that they didn't recommend the game that was paying them, and there's a reason for that. And sure, sometimes these creators are sponsored to play games that are actually good. Recently, Ambiguous Amphibian was sponsored by Sega to play their game 2 Point Museum, which has very good reviews on Steam.
Today I'm being sponsored by Sega to build a museum business, starting with only one man.
The issue is that these sponsorships still present an inherent conflict of interest. From a gamer's perspective, we go to YouTubers to see them play video games, or to hear them talk about games, or to give their recommendations for a game. So I think it's pretty disingenuous for a creator to be like, here's this game that's really cool, all while that game is writing them a check. That YouTuber could be getting paid $5,000 or $10,000. Of course they're going to present the game in the best possible light, and they might even be reading from talking points provided by the developer.
The important paragraph is in the center and reads, "We will be able to provide you with a dedicated video brief which has all the talking points." What this essentially means is we are buying access to your audience in order to say our words through your mouth so that the viewers get the right impression that we want them to have and buy the game.
Yes, that is a very common thing that happens. And this is why I believe there's nothing more egregious than when I see gaming creators doing sponsored reviews.
They did say, hey, if you make a video on our game, we'll pay you for it. So thank you for that, devs.
And I'm so glad that I got to partner with Marvelous so I can not only play it early, but also break down the game for you. Thank you, Marvelous, for sponsoring today's video.
I can't.
Today we get to review my kit. The Sims paid me an upfront fee for this kit.
Bruh.
Today I am with a sponsored video for Guardians of Ember.
Today I'm going to share my thoughts on Propagation Paradise Hotel. I want to thank one of them for sponsoring this video.
It's psychopathic.
Yeah, another thank you to the publishing team for sponsoring this video.
Okay.
And a big thanks to Funcom for sponsoring the video too. If you want to check out the game for yourself, there's a link down in the description below.
Wait. You said...
Even if creators don't explicitly state, this is a review. If you're giving an in-depth overview of a game and telling us your opinion about it and recommending it to us, that's a review, babes. A review that's been paid for. Doing a review for a game that wrote you a check is insane behavior. I thought the entire concept of a review is that it's objective as possible and a balanced analysis of something, yet we have content creators posting reviews while in the pockets of game companies.
You can't talk about a game with that much money on the line and think clearly.
The call is coming from inside the house, babes. They're in the room with us. I mean, it's not me, but they're watching. I'm sure. And I have a feeling that I'm probably gonna get some comments on this video with people saying, why do you care? Let them get their bag. Or XYZ creator has to pay their rent. That's one of my favorites, by the way. I'm sorry, but we have to stop with this nonsense. There is room in this space for content creators to be ethical and to operate with integrity. And this is crazy, okay, but some of these creators I mentioned in this video are literal millionaires. According to Social Blade, which is quite accurate on the higher end from my experience, at least two of these creators I showed, the Rad Brad and Lil Simsy, made well over $500,000 in the last year just in YouTube ad revenue alone. That doesn't include sponsorships or streaming on Twitch. So are we really pulling the they need to pay their rent excuse? And by the way, some of us actually do need to pay their rent. Okay. I don't know how much longer my landlord's gonna accept alternative forms of payment. And things get even more convoluted when when we dive into Sellout Central, aka Creator Programs.
This video was presented by the EA Creator Network.
These programs are generally established by larger publishers, and some of the better known examples are the EA Creator Network, the Ubisoft Creators Program, the Crafton Creator Network. Epic has a creator program just for Fortnite, and then some individual games have their own creator programs as well. I had talked about Mind's Eye earlier, Halia. In a recent video, I talked about Infinity Nikki. They're everywhere. Although these programs mostly benefit the companies or studios that make games, you might be wondering, what do content creators get out of it?
Now, the most important question about any creator program is, what's in it for me?
Well, they offer creators things like game codes, merch, in-game credits, early access to DLC. They'll give influencers creator codes so they can earn commissions, gifted Twitch memberships. There's a lot of random stuff. And in turn, these creators will promote these games to their audience. I really think a lot of creators join these programs because they think they can get a leg up, but by aligning themselves with game companies, it makes people question their credibility, and you'll often see people accusing these creators of being shills or sellouts. And I might agree with you, I don't know.
Because there's 100, if not 1,000 more creators that are ready to step up and take its place and make content and advertise the game for free. So
there's a psychological component to this as well. Have you guys heard of reciprocity bias? It's a term that describes our tendency as humans to respond to kindness with kindness. And it plays a huge role in influencer marketing. It's why, prior to major releases, video game companies will send PR packages with tons of goodies out to content creators.
Nintendo was so kind to send all of this over.
They sent me this little letter in the mail, and it comes with this thing here. My lovely friends at Atlas, they send me this box here for the new Rido remaster game, right? I'm like, oh, what goodies are in here?
They believe their acts of kindness will sway influencers to cover and review games more positively because of reciprocity bias. I'm not sure every content creator out here can be swayed so easily, but the question is, do we know for a fact that they're not being influenced by these gifts?
When a creator says this is sponsored by this, that, or the other, it is not obvious how deep that sponsorship runs. The specifics are never made available to the viewer.
And sometimes it's not just gifts either. Oftentimes, game companies will give content creators these all-expenses paid trips to special events. In a previous video, I talked about a creator who kinda bragged about her free trip to China that was paid for by a gacha game company.
All in all, I still got like basically a free Asia vacation.
And in another video, popular creator Force Gaming actually vlogged his influencer trip, which was paid for by Take-Two.
There's basically no way to do this and not look like an asshole. You can certainly say that people getting free flights and free hotels to come to these events, that's gonna create a biased impression of not only the experience of going, but also of the game that they're looking at. So while I'm not paying for the flight and the hotel, if I had to pay for the flight and hotel, I would never go.
At least he was honest about that part. The point of all this is, a lot of content creators are more aligned with game companies than you might think. And it's not in your favor. I would even suggest that it's anti-consumer. While I'm by no means saying that they're all terrible people, it's obvious that there's a conflict of interest here. Gaming creators are being used willfully as pawns for game companies, and I think we, the players and consumers, need to be more aware and selective of who we trust. So stay vigilant, stay alert, and stay subscribed. Because as they say, I got a bright future behind me on this channel.
Thought she said something to me. We were never friends, told them I am not your buddy. Now they all call, I got some buzz like honey. Then they check the Spotify and they looking at me funny. I don't blame you, dog, that's how this shit goes. Same two paths, we just pick different roads. Glue on the safe, I just stuck to the code. Now they tell me that I'm driven, bro, I already drove.